Air France, yeah, it's Delta, but it's operated by Air France. Whereas the one at 10:15 is an Air France flight. It's not anything to do with Delta.
The Millennium?
Seemed to be one of them, like this would be, let's see, where would be our flight? The Delta flight number is here. Yeah. There seemed to be, there was another number down here, that's the stop.
So ever since then?
Maybe we can get those numbers.
Not right now, no.
Tell me now what you're looking for.
Just need to go to the
Well, the monastery is up there, and we are actually here, and you can see that our old town is beautifully sheltered. So it's all very close together, and it's easy to get around, so the distances are not so very far. The river is called the Salzburg, the Salt River, and it once, before they made the artificial bed, was going right up to the hills, you see? And so the old town was very easy to fortify. And you have seen the convent and the fortress, that's what you see on the map here. And we are now going into the old town. And first of all, the first biggest stop will be the Mozart Square, because that will be the meeting point then at 5:45 or so. The church over there had an ugly color, and that's why they decided to build it up here. You see, that's Hollywood. They always choose the nicest spots. We are now walking to the left of the hospital, more or less straight towards the Mozart Square. We are going on the bicycle road. I hope no bicycle comes.
in the height of summer, it's like the summer bench comfortable.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Now you see the convent, all the buildings up there to the left and to the right still today belong to the convent, see?
Wait, is it Capuchin?
No, that's Benedictines.
Benedictines.
That's Benedictines. And you know, in former days, it was a convent for noble families until the middle of the 19th century. And those noble families sent at least one of their daughters with a dowry into the convent, you see, even if they didn't want to, you see. Must have been very hard, I see. And that also explains why those convents became very wealthy, you see. And they did something which I do hope very much does not exist anymore.
Well, this would be crowded with horse going through
I
here.
don't know what happened to the cow back
You know, it is not like today that every house has a bathroom, you know. They even say in the Middle Ages, people got a few pennies a year, so they would go at least once a year to take a bath. You know? So it's hard to imagine today, yes. And in this house, in this bath, lived for a little while the doctor of the Middle Ages, Paracelsus. He was a very famous man. He was born near Maria Einsiedeln in Switzerland. He traveled all over Europe. He finally stayed here, where he's also buried. And he did something which is very popular now again. He cured people with minerals, with plants, you know, and that's becoming very modern now again. And he also did something which many people tried to produce gold, but he never was successful, you see. Medis means that you get little baskets. It means a little basket, you know, because they are selling straw baskets. Furnishing, you know, made in straw. Do you need help, sir? Is it okay?
It's okay.
It's okay. may know from the opera, The Magic Flute. It's Papageno. It's a very slim little man, and the Italians always say if he had a longer nose, you could call him Pinocchio. Okay? We are going to go in front of Mr. Mozart in a moment. Here we can't see him well.
It's a very pretty scene.
Yes, yes.
Oh, I was gonna do, but I
Okay, wait a minute.
I'm just waiting until everybody has joined. So, now ladies and gentlemen, before we are stopping in front of Mr. Mozart over there, you see, I'd like to mention, when you look on your right, you see now the Hill of Capucine from another angle. Up there, a little bit you can see the roof. That's the monastery up there, which gave the name to that hill. Since about 400 years, there are Capucin monks living up there. At the moment, they're a little bit in trouble, only 7 left, and so a big part is rented out to students. And you see here where the sundial is on, and those low buildings, that's leftovers of the fortifications. Here was once a fortified entrance into town, and as you have meeting point here at the Mozart Square, if you are here a few more earlier, a little bit earlier, you could walk across that little walking bridge. It's called the Mozart Bridge. From the other side, you'll have a lovely view with a fortress in the background, and in the movie The Sound of Music, Maria and the kids were cycling across that bridge. So you might remember that as well. See?
That little one right there?
That little one right there. And here is the American Express office and the Salzburg Information Office. So if you need any help, you will get it. And we are now going to see if Mr. Mozart is awake.
That's the bridge where Maria took the kids on the bicycles over the bridge from The Sound of Music.
Square is called Mozart Square. Certainly it was not always like that. The Salzburgers took a long time to find out what a genius he was, you see. Only 50 years after his death, they put up that monument. Before this square was called St. Michael's Square because the little pink church behind yourself here is dedicated to St. Michael's. And it's a very old church. The foundations are going back to about 800. But like most of the things here in the Baroque period, they did change it all, you see. You must imagine 400 years ago, we had a very splendor-loving Prince Archbishop whose name was Wolf Dietrich. He was related to the Medicis in Italy. He was educated in Rome. And when he came to Salzburg, that didn't like the middle-aged town, he brought an Italian architect to make him a plan for a modern town, a Baroque town. And in those days they said a Baroque town has to have at least 5 squares. So they destroyed in this area 79 houses. And the next square was a graveyard, just to have room for all those squares, you see. Those days maybe the people was not so very pleased about that.
No, Anthony didn't.
The Mozart Cafe looks terribly chic.
Glockenspiel.
Pardon?
Glockenspiel. Oh, the Glockenspiel's up there. It's the most tuneless Glockenspiel you've ever heard in your life. The most what?
A graveyard. And when the graveyard was destroyed, it was made with stones from the wood of the river. You see those stones once in a while. Unfortunately, most of them disappeared in the sand. And every year we are complaining there might do something to beautify that square. And they have a very special method. I don't know whether you know it at home as well. They are starting the discussions in spring and they finish in the fall because in winter they can't work anyhow. You know? And that goes already for many years. The square got the name Residence Square by the former residence of the Prince Archbishops. It's a very large building, a few blocks, one behind another, separated by 3 courtyards. It was like a little town in town. We still do have an archbishop, but he's not any longer prince. And so those buildings are used by the university for those houses. And about 300 years ago, they added the little tower with the chimes, with the glockenspiel. There are 35 bells of different sizes. They were ordered 300 years ago in Belgium. They sent the bells, but unfortunately they forgot to send us a mechanica with the bells. It was an experiment, and that's the way it still rings today, not very correctly. We are used to it, our guests think it's the age, it's maybe both, you see. So it rings only at 7 and 11 in the morning and at 6 in the evening. This was in the middle of the 17th century. It is made in marble also, and around this fountain there is every year the unofficial opening of the Salzburg Festival. The Salzburg Festival normally starts around the 20th of July to the end of August, and the evening before, in the evening when it's dark already, about 120 couples in national costumes with torches are dancing around that fountain, which always attracts thousands of visitors, if St. Peter's allows it, you know, if he doesn't send a thunderstorm. Now, for the movie The Sound of Music, you may remember there were flagpoles all around the square, swastikas hanging on the residence, and the army was marching across. So when you see the movie, you might remember that scene. And there was another one, when Maria left the convent with that funny cloth she got, you know, and the hat and her bag and her guitar. She came through those archways and was walking to the fountain, splashing around with the water, and she was singing "I've Confidence." So that was also filmed here. Yeah, she came through those archways, and behind Maria was that was the only moment when the real Maria was appearing behind her in that archway with her son, one of her sons. So when you see the movie, you will be able to see the real Maria then behind Julien, you see. You have here a lovely view to the cathedral with the family Tomaselli came from northern Italy, and already in 1703 they opened the first coffee house in town. Later on they bought that house, and it still belongs to the Tomasellis. They might not speak so well Italian. And we are now walking through the archways in this direction. Go home and watch That noise comes because in the summertime she had a stage there, and she was visitors, and they could perform open. And because of the little sunshine.
You gonna be in your way, Jim?
No, not at all.
No! Watching you walk gracefully on the cobblestone.
Yep.
There is, if I may say so, the birthplace of the Salzburg festivals. Because in 1920, when the festivals were founded, we did not have a large festival hall. And so they decided to build up a stage here, all over the square, seats for the visitors. A week ago it was still here, you see, and it's traditional here to perform a mystery play, which we call Jedermann, Everyman. It's telling about that Mr. Everyman, who was a very wealthy man, and as he had lots of money, he had many, many good friends to help him to get rid of his money, you see. And at the end of his life then, when Dad is knocking on his shoulder, the so-called good friends disappear immediately. leave him alone, and he must learn and accept money at the end does not help. He can't take it with him or have any advantages. It's only the good and the bad which is counting at the end, see? And that fits beautifully in front of the cathedral, and it's so nice to see now the cathedral clean. The last 4 years they did sandblasted. It's all covered with marble. And you see 3 dates at the entrance. In 774 was the very first cathedral consecrated here. The one you see now was built by an Italian architect. And we are going inside, so you'll see it also inside. One of the first bombs falling on Salzburg in October 1944 fell into the dome, you see? So it was all rebuilt and finished in 1959. That's what I'm saying. Big concentration, 772, on the Bauernstraße, for ever, and way up on all the buildings, left houses, east to recognize. You know, the sacrament is on the side because when it was a privilege, he was not named in Rome in those days. He was elected in Salzburg, and it was a rule in the noble families. The first son succeeded the father, the second was due to the church, and the third due to the army. So it very often fell on somebody who didn't want to be priest, you see. It was the wish or the decision of the parents. They choose the profession of their children. And that explains it maybe also. It's not an excuse, but it explains it that very often there were more princes than bishops. And they were not always on the side of Rome. Because having also the political power, you see, they tried to have always the better side in between Pope and Emperor for the country. See? When you look up to the dome, which is 70 meters high, you see all the dome and the apsides here, that was all rebuilt after the Second World War. There was a big hole here made by the bomb, and behind the grill, you see to the left of the lights where the candles are burning, there's a staircase leading down to the crypt. So they used that hole made by the bomb to make a crypt. Also organ concerts, and it's a little bit unusual. We do have 5 independent organs. The big one above the main entrance, you see it up there where the lights are burning. This big organ in former days was only played when the Prince Archbishop walked into church or when he left it. The music was composed to be sang underneath the dome. That's the best acoustic, you see. So already in the 17th century, we had 4 organs here. Those you see now are remade after the war. But we do know at Mozart's time, Mozart was baptized in this church, you know, and he was conductor and composer at the courtyard of the Prince Archbishop. And in those days, the organ on the right was the organ of the court. There was the composer and the main organist.
I never learned how to play chess.
Well, that looks like scarves from China.
It's better than the one in Budapest.
That's why they have there.
Oh. The one in Pittsburgh is like that.
It was in September. They are cleaning the canal, and that's why it's now empty. You see, so it wouldn't be so easy to explain here because normally it's very noisy. And so the mill does not exist anymore. But down there is the bakery, and 4 times a week they're making wonderful rye bread. And when you turn over, you can already see St. Peter's Church, and we are now walking quietly through the graveyard of St. Peter's, which is the oldest in town, maybe even the oldest in Austria. And behind the church, you will see St. Margaret Chapel. The rock is falling straight down, and there are little windows in the rock and a little chapel. That's what we call the catacombs of Salzburg. Even if we do know in the meantime there was nobody buried there, you see. It is not justified to call them like that, but the first monks who came here around 500 AD lived in those grottos, and later on there was a rock slide, so they discovered it again and closed the catacombs.
Hi there. This is the cemetery that they used in The Sound of Music. Just like it. Isn't this? This is really it. This is really.
Ja, das ist fun. Das ist aber immer so.
So there he is, Major Bureau, Colin. Irene Colin. So Irene, like, okay.
They had the organs in the CD, so.
Little cubby holes up
That
there.
was catacombs.
Oh, really?
In the 5th century, they used to hide.
Yeah, that's a high.
When they were, it was like hiding places when they were, for the persecutors. For yourselves.
It is a monastery, you see. At the moment, there are about 30 Benedictine monks living here, but they're living behind that building. Back there is the cloistered part. That's a garden with arcades going around. That's not open to the public. Certainly 30 monks wouldn't be enough to fill all the buildings, and that's why a big part is rented out to the university. There's a boys' pensionat, there's a Michael Haydn museum, and you see where those posters are. They always have at 5 o'clock little concerts also. Then there's lots of apartments for people who work for the monastery, and where the flags are, when you turn around, you see, that's the entrance to the famous Peter's Keller. You maybe know monks are always a good proof of good food and good wine. They like that as well. And St. Peter still owns big vineyards at the Danube where the wine still comes from. It's certainly not the monks anymore who are working. It was so precious, so it was transported in little wooden barrels, you see, and salt brought wealth, you see. And this church, it was rebuilt several times. In the 12th century, it was a church in Romanesque style, but that was not modern in the 18th century, so they altered it completely. It's a very ornate church, lots of gilded things, rocailles, paintings. It's the favorite wedding church in town, and one of the highlights during the Salzburg festivals, that's the C minor Mass. Mozart did compose specially for this church, and it's always played and sang in St. Peter's, you see. We are now leaving underneath that point. Now we've left now, ladies and gentlemen, the monastery of St. Peter's, and the grey building here is the monastery of the Franciscan monks. And that is connected by that little archway to St. Franciscan's Church. Here there are also still monks, but only about 12 left, and that's why a big part of the building is used for other purposes. But you see how close we are. Main shopping road. We could go straight down this way, but I make with you a little roundabout, and we'll be arriving also in that little shopping lane, you see. And the name of that lane is Sigmund Hafner Gasse. Sigmund Hafner, he was mayor of town during Mozart's time, and for this family, Mozart did compose the Hafner Symphony and the Hafner Serenade. You see, that's where the name comes from. This little square here is called Max Reinhardt Square. Max Reinhardt was one of the founders of the Salzburg festivals, and you remember I mentioned in 1920 they started an open air in front of the cathedral, but very soon they found out we do form indoors, and they finally chose this building going way, way, way down, you see. That was in the 17th century the stables of the Prince Archbishop's horses. They had room for 130 horses here, and at the very end of that building is another big horse pond. So also the bishop's horses had their swimming pool, you see. After the time of the Prince Archbishop, it was used a while as soldiers' camp, it was a museum, and especially farmers coming from the surroundings to sell their products, you see. I like that square, and when you look at this line of houses now, that's now hiding nature. And through this arcade, I don't know if you can go through there because of the rain. But if you go in this direction,
Sorry, I'm...
of Mozart's birthplace. That's not Mrs. Mozart up there. But on that floor, on the 4th floor, not facing this side, only facing the other side, there is a little apartment that's where Mozart was born, the 27th of January, 1750. And the longest journey down to Italy took them over 3 years until he came back. It's hard to imagine today. When he was 17 years, the apartment in this house was too small, so the family moved to the other side of the river. And when he was
No descendants. And Mozart died 35 years old only, and he's buried in a pauper's grave. He was not always poor. Experts found out.
I love it when I come on a Sunday and I was shot. I mean, people listen to that stuff. It was not even very expensive either.
In former days, hardly anybody knew to write or to read. And in the shopping road, you will see lots of iron-made guild signs, iron-wrought guild signs.
Yeah.
Straight down that way. Straight down that way.
Where are we gonna meet?
We're gonna get in front of Mr. Horson, that's right. Yes. Yeah, by the coat. 46, so you've got...
And it has the continents, you know, raised. So this was their main shopping?
This is it. Getreidegasse.
Their what?
Getreidegasse.
Oh. Let's see what it says about it.
Yep.
Hugo Culture Castle. Nick Luther.
There's Dan down there, so I'm sure.
Oh, I'm glad you're in front of me.
This is checking into our hotel in Munich. What is this? The Inner City Hotel in Munich, next to the Hauptbahnhof.
No bathtub.
Years, I do speak German and I came to Germany for love. Any questions beyond that, personal questions, feel free to ask me, but ask me while we're walking, not as part of the tour. Okay? So. Everybody will take this train, spread out, use all the doors. All the doors. This idea that Hitler was one with God, that he was protected by God, and if Hitler were meant to die in this assassination attempt, he would have died. But because of God's protection, he's still alive. So they propagated this, and that's why we believe that George Elster was set up to propagate this idea that Hitler was protected by God, to convince the public. If it wasn't so, why did they assassinate him? Why did they have to get rid of him? But they did. They set him up and they killed him. So, any questions before you guys look at this building? Okay, all of the SS training are Okay, I am going to repeat one thing that I mentioned before about the International Memorial, and that's about the sculpture itself. So for some of you it will be repeat information. The sculpture represents the suicide rate at Dachau. Now, before the war started, the prisoners had absolutely no hope of freedom, so many of them did choose to end their own lives. But after the war started in 1939, they did have hope, they did have somebody fighting for them, so not as many committed suicide. And when a prisoner decided to end his own life, they usually chose to use the electric fence, because that was
Hallo? Kann ich diesen Bild machen?
Ja.
Ja? Was ist die Spielzeug?
Was? Kickboard.
Kickboard?
Ja.
Auf Deutsch?
Mhm.
Oh, ich spreche Englisch und ich weiß nur ein bisschen Deutsch.
Ja.
Ja, diesen neue Spielzeug, ja?
Ja.
Ja. Gut. Wie heißt du?
Ich Tobias.
Was?
Tobias.
Tobias.
Ja?
Und diesen Freund?
Tobias. Das ist mein Bruder.
Oh, seine Bruder. Ich bin Jim Polzner. Ich bin aus USA.
Aha.
Nicht in Schule jetzt.
Ja?
Ja,
Ja?
ja? Well, danke. Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
This is Berchtesgaden. We're in the Alps, just on the German-Austrian border. Mother. More views overlooking Berchtesgaden.
Shanghai. Gorgeous.
You think? Jimmy? Oh, you can see the snow up in those mountains, up there. There's the...
There's a picture of Mom taking a picture.
Well, I don't know that I'm hungry, but...
We're sitting in a restaurant, and this is our window seat to the restaurant.
What's the name of it? Der Fortin?
Here's Mother.
Der Fortinmaster Café Bristol. Speisen.
Steinhaus, the Eagle's Nest, which we will see today. Also nach dem Krieg waren dann diese Häuser und Anlagen zerstört durch die Bombardierung durch England und Amerika und es setzte aber dann wieder sozusagen ein Pilgerstrom ein.
Between the Batsman and the winner lies Lake Königssee. Shortly before the Eagle's Nest parking lot, the view opens up to the city of Salzburg in the distance. When you arrive at the Eagle's Nest parking lot, it is necessary to have your bus ticket stamped with your twin elevator, which will take you 124 meters, or 406 feet, up into the Eagle's Nest building itself. It was Martin Brunner's idea to have this structure built on top of the 1,834 meter, or 6,017 foot high Mount Kirstein, as a gift from McCarty to Adolf Hitler for his 50th birthday. The tea house was solely used for representation purposes for visiting diplomats. The building itself, as well as the access road, were built in 13 months' time, between 1937 and 1938. Thanks to the local governor at the time, Mr. Jacob, who intervened on behalf of the Eagle's Nest, it was spared being blown up after the war. The Eagle's Nest has been preserved in its original form as a historical monument. Since 1952, it has been open to the public and is leased out as a mountaintop restaurant. In order to visit the
Aber gut gemacht dann.
Das ist auch ganz weit zu sehen. Ja,
I'm going to stand on that rock. I'm going to try and get to that rock and stand on it. Here I am standing on the rock I said I was going to stand on. I was sitting in that bench next to that lady. That body of water way off in the distance is the Königssee. Here's how high I am from, well, that's just that building way off in the distance is Hitler's house, if I could zoom in on it. Yep, Kelstein House, the eagle's nest. These are the Bavarian Alps, and it's colder than heck right now. I just turned around so I can face this side. See the snow on top of the mountain. I think we're above the tree line, I'm pretty sure. See those people standing there? I think I might try and get there too. There's the Königssee. Now I'm just working my way from that mountaintop. This way. I'm really having to balance myself right now. My feet are just in between a bunch of rocks. Here's my foot stance. This is literally how I'm standing up here. I don't know that you can really see it, but I'm working hard here to keep in my balance. Ah. Oh. Mother did climb up here with me. I didn't think she would. I'm going to zoom in, and you'll see where she's at. There, she's waving. Hello. I think she wants me to come down. I can't believe she walked up here. Look at that, Maria von Trapp. The Sound of Music. Julie Andrews, Bernice Polsner, same thing.
$2.18.
Look at the camera and say hi already.
$2.18, hi.
All right, that's better than nothing. Go on, walk.
It's slippery around here. Look at the clouds are coming in.
Yeah. You walk.
Here we go.
Look at the clouds rolling in. There goes my mother. Worried she's going to miss the elevator. This is, well, Berchtesgaden. There's the Koenigsee. That's Hitler's house. Tell you how bored I am. I'm in the bathroom here of the bus. This is what the bathroom looked. I thought it was kind of cute. Thought I'd show everybody. That's the toilet. And they give you instructions on how to use it. Whoops, whoops, whoops. I just turned on the water. See here? Gotta take this right. You notice how they don't want you to stand and pee. You have to sit. Obvious reasons, all the bouncing around. I think you'd splash the floor a lot. This is kind of cool. This is where you wash your hands. I can take my knee and turn on the water and wash your hands. And that's cool. It goes off by itself. And this is the one that flushes the toilet. Here, I just flushed it. And see, you even get a window. So like when you're sitting down, if I sit down like this, there's a toilet right there. You got a window, and you can like open the window, and you can look out the window, and while you're taking a poop, wave at everybody while you're pooping. I think it's kind of cool. It's the end of the bathroom tour. Oh, gonna get up. Turn around this way one last time. See if I can zoom in on that sign, which I think is a hoot.
Schmeiß jetzt doch Magel in also bewegt.
Ist egal. Ja, jetzt.
I don't believe that.
Just wait. Is he moving?
Yeah, and see him? He moved his eyes a little. Oh yeah, he closed his eyes. Now he's holy moly.
Anne bir dakika. Und sind viel Geld dafür?
You got your washcloths?
Yeah, they're mixed. Look at this.
Yeah, but
Friday night is going to be a little busy.
the Castle Linderhof. 10:30 in the morning. We're in the Bavarian Alps. That's the Temple of Venus or something. Just want to see if I can see Bernice down there. There again is a shot of the Temple of Venus. I think you can see some of the gardens better. I'll work my way back down, get closer and closer. This is the next level down. Still can't find Bernice anywhere. I found Bernice. There goes Mother.
Here's another vase.
They reduce their markup and go.
there's where I gotta walk to. Here I am at the castle entrance. I walked up all the way from where I was down there. Did it in what is that, 25 minutes I think? Now I gotta find Mom. Well, I came up higher, see if I could see Mom. My clock in the camera matches pretty well with the clock on the castle. Kind of a neat view of one of the turrets with the mountain in the background. There is dear Mother walking through the castle entrance. Bernice! Hey, Bernice! Bernice! There's a hang glider.
She's still doing it?
See him?
Oh, you even can see him.
Remember in Mexico
But since then,
This is from the castle when window there, Neuschwanstein. Let's see. There's a little reference.
The second of Bavaria, for whom also the castles Niederhof and Herrenchiemsee were built. King died on June 13, 1886. He drowned under mysterious circumstances in Lake Salzburg near Munich.
I'm torturing my mother. Come on, mother. Okay, here I am back from where I started from, what, 2 hours ago?
I want to talk to
Hey. This is a view outside of our hotel room in Munich. This is not the... That's where we entered our hotel. Let's go down this subway. Look, I'm taking a picture of you now.
Oh, don't you dare. Jimmy, don't. I'm going to be Aunt Mamie.
Well, you can take these dunas off.
All right, that's enough.